Welcome back to All Things ETH. My name is Aaron, and on this channel we talk about all things Ethereum. We talk about projects, NFTs, play to earn, DeFi, and price. And today, guys, Sentiment.xyz, one of my favorite crypto Arbitrum apps right now, is just launched their new UI and UX, and I want to explore that and show you around the place as they just launched this morning, and I'm excited to get into it. So let's get on into my screen right now. This is Arbitrum.sentiment.xyz. I don't know if they had the Arbitrum on the front end of this address before, so I'm a little bit excited, as you may see Sentiment on other chains coming soon, but we'll find out in the future. I don't have any specifics on that, but I wonder if that's not the case, or maybe I've just been overlooking this for a while and it's been there the whole time. Either way, this is what you will see when you get started. Not exactly this, because I have a lot of assets in my account. You will probably need to create a new account as one does when they start a Sentiment account, because what you're doing here is putting assets in, and they as long as you're borrowing, you're not taking stuff out to leave the pool, because this is how the mechanism works within Sentiment to be able to do under collateralized lending. So what I have in this account right now is some ETH, and then I have that ETH in Balancer inside of the Earn tab, and it's just sitting there making rewards, and that's the principal collateral that I've put in to Sentiment Finance. But then I've borrowed a bunch of USDC, USDT, and Frax, and I've gone and bought some GLP, some staked GLP from the Invest tab that you can reach right here. And then I'm making, right now 25%-ish minus the borrow fees. But what I can do is I can borrow way above what my collateral is, because in Sentiment you're keeping all of your assets in this account, so if there was a liquidation they could handle that inside of the account. So you want to keep your health up. Your health meter is up here. This has not changed much from the previous. In fact, this entire screen is pretty similar to what we've been looking at on Sentiment in particular, so there's not a lot of changes here, but I do want to get into some of the things here. So health is something you want to think about. Debt here, obviously your total assets. One thing I do miss, and I will criticize a little bit this new interface, is that you do not have your principal, or you don't have your profit essentially. I would like to see total assets minus debt as well. Would be nice to just have a quick glance as to what your equity is after debts, to make sure you're heading in the right direction. But it does give you this readout here, and this is total asset value, and then it also gives you debts there too. So it's similar to what this shows, and does give you a timeline of how you're doing. Obviously mine has grown some. I have taken some assets out right here to capitalize on some profit taking, and then reinitialize my GLP strategy here. So this hasn't changed much, but let's get into a couple more things. So cool things that they've added in on the borrow page. You can see what the APYs are doing and why they're doing them. So under 80% utilization, or 85% utilization inside of Sentiment, and this is how this whole mechanism works, guys. There are borrowers and lenders. In fact, when you go to Sentiment.xyz originally, if you don't jump all the way to the screen, that you choose whether you're a borrower or a lender. Now you don't have to choose, because you can do that after the fact, but you can lend directly in this platform. If you go to accounts, you can. I believe you can, at least. Gosh, it's been a minute since. Maybe that's not the case anymore. So maybe I should have started at Sentiment.xyz in particular. But I know that you can lend Arbitrum with Frax, USDT, and USDC, and you get some good APYs there. Now this used to have the lend APY on top of the borrow APY, and that's maybe why they've separated that out to make it less confusing. But when you get into the borrow tab, you do get to see some utilization metrics, and this is why you see the spikes in the borrow and supply APYs that you see in the account page. So this is a cool new view. You get to see where each of the assets is currently, and you get to find out how much utilization, or if you're getting close to that kind of exponential or large inflection point where you see higher rates of APY on these different assets. So if you're borrowing ARB, you're in a good spot to stay in this low APY situation. But if you're in USDT, USDC, and even ETH right now is in the inflection point where it's above the curve there and getting into the high borrow rates. Now, one cool thing, kind of a trick that I've learned inside of Sentiment in particular, if the borrow rate is high on ETH, it means that people are probably borrowing it in order to short it. So I do look for this as an indicator. We're just one of many indicators, not financial advice, guys, but this is a place where I typically see if borrow rate is high on WETH, there's a lot of short sellers, or at least the sentiment of the market is looking a little bit more bullish or bearish in the moment. So when ETH or wrapped ETH is low APY in sentiment, it does mean that we're likely to see a little bit more upside. Now, if you go to the chart, we've been in this range for quite some time, and we are kind of riding this new high, higher high from the bear market of basically the last year, and we haven't been this high in a while. So, a lot of people are starting to get a little bit bearish on maybe a come back to this line here, and maybe this line here in order to start the next leg of the run up, right? So not surprising that you see some, but it is a nice indicator that I've seen inside of Sentiment. Oh, here's the borrow and lend page. So now most people are going to start with borrow, but if you do want to get some juicy APYs, go to the lend page and get into some lending with USDC, USDT, Frax, wrapped ETH, and recently Arbitrum coins. So let's get back into this here. Let's go and search more into each of these. So we've looked at the borrow tab. Let's look at the trade tab. The trade tab hasn't changed much. There used to be a couple different swap zones here. So they used to have Curve and Uniswap, and I believe Balancer may have been a third there. But now it's just all built into the interface, and so you have DAI. These are the assets that you can use to swap, and then these are the assets below here that you can get in return, and I believe they're the same right now. Now all of these are what are currently accepted as collateral inside of Sentiment, and it makes the markets a little bit tighter and less risky, in my opinion, and probably in the opinion of the Sentiment team, to be able to hold on to these assets and get less volatility. So you're not going to see a lot of low market cap coins in here. You're going to see blue chips in particular, because we want to make sure that everybody is safe inside of these high leverage accounts. So it is possible to do 4 or 5x leverage and still stay in the health range that is relatively comfortable, especially when borrowing. If you're collateralizing ETH and buying more ETH and this sort of thing, you can loop pretty hard with this sort of thing and be able to pay that back pretty simply. So let's get into the invest tab. Now this has changed quite a bit. This is probably the biggest change that we've seen in the new update. We are able to sort these now where we weren't before. So we can sort by APY, TVL, and these are different strategies that you can invest in. So once you've borrowed the USD coins or wrapped ETH or Arbitrum, these sorts of things, you can place them into these investment vehicles. In particular, I've used GLP the most, and that gives you one of the highest APYs. So let's actually sort by APY and find out. Let's go descending APY. Yep, SGLP is the top APY provider out of all the things that you can do on Sentiment. So with the high borrow rates here of 11.78% on USDC and 9% on USDT, I would recommend that you get into borrowing strategies or some of these investment strategies that are higher in value, obviously, and nobody's going to really choose something that's super low in value unless they're being super safe or they're providing their collateral into some of these. In fact, this is what I've done with I brought in a bunch of ETH into here. I've brought some wrap staked ETH as well, and I've put them into one of the balancer wrap staked ETH to wrapped ETH investment tabs, just to make a little bit extra gains on my collateral while it's sitting inside of Sentiment. So what else is in here? Documentation and Discord. I won't touch on those, as those have not changed, but this is the new look of Sentiment. I do think it's quite similar to what it was, but it gives you more information, so it's completely user-friendly as to anyone who has been using it in the past, but it's just a little bit more robust, especially on the borrow side, where you get to see these inflection points and then actually get in, and if you want to go in and do these individually, you can hit borrow here and get a little bit more zoomed in feel for these. You can repay your debts here. This is how you borrow. You put in the amount that you'd like to borrow, and then you hit borrow here, and then you can go back later and repay it by typing in whatever you need to repay and hit repay. So that is all for today, all that I wanted to talk about in Sentiment. This is the new UI UX for the Sentiment Finance or Sentiment.xyz, and things have been great to see new changes in here, especially Arbitrum. Additionally, you can go into lending and actually lend Arbitrum. So let's go to the lend side real quick. If you did get the airdrop, it's pretty cool that you can get 1% on your ARB while you hold it and wait for the price to go up, right? Because I do think we've seen a lot of selling pressure with people wanting to use their Arbitrum, right? To use their Arbitrum, a lot of people are switching it over to ETH or USDC, taking profits on it potentially. But now that we've had it for a week exactly, right now people are starting to use it. So so the price is starting to go up a little bit. I think we're at like $1.30 now, where it's been as low, $1.35 right now. It's great. It's moving on up. So I'm going to hold it in places like Sentiment and other borrowing, lending, and platforms in order to just wait it out and get some APY while I'm at it. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Twitter. Check me out, and I'm often in the Sentiment Discord if you want to say hi there. Follow and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content just like this, and God bless.